This is a special episode of Picture Lock. A portion of the show has always been devoted to local filmmakers. This entire episode is devoted to the cast and crew of Thick, the latest feature film from Anthony Green and Cheryl Brown, which recently premiered at West End Cinema. I'll talk to the writer-director duo along with some of the cast members of this new and very intriguing film. All ahead on Picture Lock. I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the metropolitan DC area has a great emerging film scene, and Thick is certainly proof of that. My first guests are DC native Anthony Green and Alexandria native Cheryl Brown. Wow. Cheryl, Anthony, thanks for coming on the show. I've been excited all weekend to talk about this movie, Thick. First of all, congratulations. I was telling Anthony, I said, this is an award-winning film. I don't know what awards it's going to win, but you heard it here first on Picture Lock. It's an award-winning film.
Take it.
All right, so congratulations on doing an excellent film.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how did you two meet?
Here, actually.
Right here at AIM.
Right here at AIM.
You were doing television production. I was working on editing for something, and AIM was the place that we ended up meeting here and ended up working together from.
Wow. Okay.
AIM does it.
Plug.
AIM
Right.
plug. That's right.
AIM
Come to
plug.
AIM. End up making movies. It happens.
You make award-winning films.
There you go.
Making new friends.
Okay, so what inspired your collaboration for Thick?
Actually, Anthony came to me with the story, and he was actually working on another film. And he came to me with the story and asked me if I would be okay with finish writing up on it. It was awesome. I thought it was fantastic. I said, thank you for the opportunity, and that was it.
That simple, huh?
Yeah, because it's pretty much. I was working on Enhancements War, and just getting into it, shooting it, and everything. And Thick is something I had laying around from before that, the story. And I started writing the script from it, and I kind of hit a roadblock where I got really, inundated with everything from the Henchman's War, and I wanted somebody I could trust to pick up where I left off and finish it out for me. And Cheryl has always been like right there, in some way or another to help out with the other projects, the festivals. And I knew that she did writing and directing on her own, so I asked her to come in and help finish it up, and she did. And it ended up working out great.
Wow.
And then from then I was like, well, do you want to direct it with me? Because I knew she had a chance to do it before, but she had never did it on this scale. And that's what it's about.
Awesome. So why a female crime boss?
Because it's more interesting than the male. I mean, honestly, whenever you see these type of movies, there's always the guy running around. And two things, black actresses in this area black actresses, period, don't really get roles that far outside of the box. They don't get to be Tony Montana. They don't get to be Don Corleone,
Right.
And you never know if it's going to change on the Hollywood level, but on an independent level, we can do whatever we want to do. And I wanted to shake it up. It was originally written for a male, and I said, no, I think it'd be more, interesting if we changed that male role to a female role with the same tropes. And Cheryl was all for it.
I thought it was really interesting. It was I didn't even think about it as a woman. And again, I didn't even think about it, but as soon as he brought the idea, I was like, I think that'll be awesome. And then the fact that we just changed that one character pretty much changed the dynamic of the whole movie.
Right. So was it like you literally had started out and it was a male, and then you were like, let's just turn it female. We'll leave the female roles in the same, in terms of the love, and then
that's it.
That's all we did.
And that one change makes the movie completely original and unlike anything else out there.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you guys are both co-directors and writers of the film, and let me tell you, the environments and the characters that you created were very well rounded. And as a film critic, I was able to look at the film and I could tell that these characters have backstory. Like, we're just coming in on this section of their lives, but I could see their backstory through their performances. So what influenced that? How did you all just write these well-rounded characters?
For me, with the initial story, when I got to revisit it, it was really from my trial and error with the Henchman's War. And, you want to make sure that your actors understand, who these characters are. And you want to make sure that the audience can pick up on the things about them that kind of transfer into who they are, where they are, and why they're going to react the way they do. And Cheryl and I talked a lot about Nina's character, the assassin, and what her background would be and where she would come from. And that stuff, a lot of that stuff might not transfer on film, but from a writing perspective, the more we know about them, then we'll know where we're taking them. We can make it be more believable for the audience.
Yeah.
So, but it's really just a lot of conversations between the two of us, and really making sure that we just drop the right amount of information in there, so it's not inundated where we just telling you over and over again.
Right.
But you pick up on it. We trust our audience.
Yeah, definitely. Again, hats off. It was a great job. So I do have to ask, I felt like I saw a little bit of Kill Bill in there. I don't know if that had any influence, but even with the chapters, and then it felt like a little David Carradine delivery. Was that anywhere? And even the tunnel scene with the that was the.
That's Cheryl's the violent one. You asked her that question. All the violence came from Cheryl.
And right. Women kind of doing the violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. Yeah. But it's not the worn out cliche Tarantino-esque.
Right.
Because, from Killing Zoe on down, they kind of worn out the whole Tarantino thing. But what I wanted to do was make smart people that had good dialogue and put them in these different positions. But a lot of that stuff, like the stuff with the chapters was, well, first of all, it was a web series.
Oh,
It was supposed to be a web series.
Gotcha.
First. And it was supposed to end on certain moments, and then you see the next episode. But when we realized that web series don't make any money, how do we make it into a feature without having to switch everything up or writing more for it? Well, let's make it chapters so that when something ends, we can go into the next chapter. And when people watch it, it's kind of like reading the book. You turn the page to the next thing. So it has a really, it's a soap opera feel to it. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen now? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was like that because it was going to be broken down into episodes first. And then we compiled some of the episodes and then made it chapters, and that's how it had, ended up, that way. But a lot of that stuff with ideas along the way and doing post-production to make it simple. Even the whole mag scene, we thought of that in a week. The whole masquerade ball, we couldn't get what was the location?
We were trying to figure out a location for this kill. And we were going to make it into a gym and some other things, but things didn't come out the way we wanted them to, so we just had to come up with something else. And the masquerade scene came with it the week before. The fight scene actually came that night. We knew we were going to do it, but they actually learned all that stuff that night and shot it night.
Right, because when we said let's do a masquerade scene, and then Cheryl was like, "Hey, it's this tunnel around there. Well, let's have them have a fight."
Yeah, that's
and,
awesome.
And Dylan Hintz and the DC Stunt Coalition, they came on, and they put the fight together. Him and Ashley came out, put the fight together, and that whole scene, all the extras, everything was in 1 week of us just having the idea. Well, let's do that instead.
Right. Wow. That's crazy because I love that scene because for a second it was like, yo, this is R. Kelly video or something. I was like, who's this dude with the masquerade? And then it's like Crazy 88. And then I was like, yo, this is dope. Again, like I said, I just think that there's so much local talent here in the DMV area. And I mean, this film is certainly proof of that. So, I do also want to just touch on some of the things that go into filmmaking. So in terms of the writing process, what were some of the scenes that you all struggled with the most?
I think I struggled more writing the endings, the standoff scene. That was kind of difficult for me. I was trying to make it really intense, did a little bit more than I thought. And Anthony's like, well, you just put a gun to this little boy's head. I know, I'm sorry. I had to apologize to his mom.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
just figured
boy,
that's
he was
what
like-
Teresa would have done, right? I just figured that's what her character would have done to grab Ronnie's attention.
Right.
So I think that was one of the scenes that kind of got me a little bit.
For me, it was the opening scene. That opening, well, we talked about it before. The opening scene of any movie is what weeds out if you're going to stick with it or not. I can
Right.
tell within the first 5 minutes
Right.
if I want to be on this journey or not. The opening scene for Thick is
So
really
much going on.
Episode 10. That's,
He's got so much going on in his
right.
life.
The opening scene for Thick is really just telling the viewer you're dealing with a woman who's intelligent, who's ruthless, and you're dealing with a movie where anything can happen. And you gotta be prepared for that going in. Everything else after that beginning just opens you up for anything can happen. You don't know where it's gonna go. You know these people are gonna have something to say, something to talk about. You gotta pay attention to what they're saying. And that was tantamount to making sure the rest of the movie had a bar to stick with.
Right.
So that the opening scene, for me the opening scene is really the most important thing.
And I think you guys nailed it, because honestly, the opening scene for me was when I really got into it. First off, who did the score? Because the score is pulsing, right? And this is another question. I was like, as a director, did you all like play the music on set? Because like Biss and Elle was like walking to the beat, and I was like, okay, yeah. So the score was awesome, but then like the decision to do the stills with it, I was like, okay, so let me sit back. Where my popcorn at?
I made that beat like 6 years ago.
Oh, you make
And,
beats too?
And my friend,
Oh, God.
He does it all, I
my
know.
friend Mandel Jackson, who I've known for years, one of the, like my right hand man on a lot of stuff. You know, we couldn't really find what we were looking for, and we tapped Walter Spencer to help out with the score and everything, but we couldn't find the thing to open the movie with. And he said, I got some stuff you made some years ago. Maybe you need to listen to some of your older stuff. And we found that, and I was like, you know what? I must have made this back then for this because it's perfect. It fits perfectly.
Right.
It moves with it. It gets you in the mood for it. And then once you get that breakdown, the credits are done, and we go right into the classical music, and it's perfect. It gives you the perfect balance between the worlds. Like, this is classy, but it also has some trashiness to it. You know what I mean?
Right. All right, so I think Tamika Chavis, she did an excellent job in casting the film. So what did you all tell her to look for in casting your characters, or was it all her, or was it like a collaborative effort?
You know, Tamika is really good with getting the word out, getting the actors in. She is an actress. She's worked on Anacostia, The Wire, stuff like that. So she knows how to get the word out, get the people in. She knows how to set it up. She's perfect with that. And then we would all sit in the room and get the people to come in, and we confer back and forth. And, you know, Thick was really hard to cast.
It really was.
For a lot of different reasons. A lot of the women read the sides and didn't want to do it. They thought the worst was going to happen. They thought it was going to be exploitative. I mean, you're dealing with lesbian crime people with a sex scene and intimacy, and you know, and they just didn't want to touch it. Like, we would have people that were great who didn't want to come back, or we had people who had the Tyler Perry. Yeah, we had the Tyler Perry bug. When the lines were read like, you know, Medea. I mean, you know, so it was really hard because I really wanted to make sure that we stepped the game up with Thick.
Right.
Like, when you saw Thick, it was not going to be like everything else that you normally see, especially independently produced on a micro budget.
Right.
And it was, we came across some great people.
Yeah.
So she was really good in helping us organize that and putting words in and saying who's directable and who could be pushed. And, you know, since we worked, you know, on Henchman's War together, you know, it was great. It was easy.
Awesome. Speaking of the cast, Tia Day.
Awesome.
Whoa, wow. Her performance to me was just incredible. What was it like directing such a force? And not only that, you know, the rest of the cast. And how are you guys as directors? Is it more hands-off, or like, you know, you got specific direction you give?
Well, for me, this was my first big production. So having Anthony to be right beside me and to learn from him knowing that he has so much knowledge, and it was new for me. So I got to do a lot of learning on this set, although I got to take my hands on and put my hands on some of it.
Right.
But I got to do a lot of learning. I got to do a lot of watching on this. Anthony was the man. You know, I got to really pay attention and really learn my craft, what I really wanted to do. He threw me in there, don't get me wrong. He threw me in there and would leave and say, here you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna play PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm going to play
You do that
PlayStation.
scene.
You got this.
I'm gonna go play.
But I had to,
PlayStation on set?
I was
Yeah,
playing
we had to,
Injustice.
you know, keep it
Injustice
cool.
just came out. I had to go
Injustice,
play. Yeah.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
like,
Get
you
it
do
in.
that
That's
scene.
how
I'm gonna
we
go play
do.
video games.
That's how
Nice.
we are as directors.
I like
there
that.
you go.
I like that.
Right. But you know what? Tia was originally going to be Nina,
Yes.
and my thing, Tia is a really strong actress. I never thought that she got used to the highest of her abilities, and you know, we were good. We can find a Ronnie, you know, but finding that lead and then finding somebody who could play, who had the physicality and presence of Nina, because Tia would have been a great Nina, but you know, it was a decision where I was like, you know what, Tia can play this lead. Tia can do this, and I spoke to her about it. And I really, some of the actors like Lefty's character, Ronald Bensonell, that was his when I wrote it. When I saw Ronald Bensonell, I automatically knew it wasn't even a question.
Yeah.
He can play that role.
Right.
He has that demeanor about him. He has that slickness about him. He can play that role. You know,
Right.
he is that guy. You know, Caleb Jackson from Morrison, shoo-in. Knew it as soon as I saw him. As soon as I spoke to him about it, I got something I want to do with you in the future. That was a shoo-in. But Tia was, we moved Tia out of the way, and Chasita was our blessing, who came in to play Nina.
Right.
Chasita and Pascal were our blessings on the film, because those were the ones that we really didn't know definitively who were going to be able to play those roles to the fullest and bring what they brought to it.
And they were the last ones cast.
Wow. Integral roles as well. Man, so, okay. Omar Juarez created just stunning images for the film. So how did you all approach the collaboration for the vision of the picture? Because he used so many practical lights to also paint the palette, which really worked for the film. A lot of it is kind of like in those nightclubs, or and just the colors that came out. Just, it was beautiful.
Well, if Omar is a great DP. He's a great cinematographer. He knows how to use his colors, saturations, and stuff like that. And I wanted something to be completely different than The Henchman's War. And when I saw his reel and the way that he brought the colors out and the way he used natural lighting, I knew definitively he had what I wanted for Thick. And I told him, I said, I want this to be more vibrant. I want the colors to pop. I want the world to just have more visual stimulation than The Henchman's War, because it was just really, really dark.
Right.
And that's pretty much the reason why I brought him on, because I wanted him to bring those colors and that type of vibrancy to the film.
Awesome. So, camera placement. That's the one thing for me as a director. Sometimes, I struggle the most with. But I think you all did a great job, especially even camera movement. Just integrating that into the scenes where it helps push the scene forward. But aesthetically it looks good, but at the same time it's not just doing doing a little dolly just to do the dolly, you know what I mean? So was there a lot of storyboarding that went into the production, or how did you guys?
We just did a lot of talking.
We just talked. We didn't storyboard anything.
Yeah, we just talked a lot.
Like the scene you did with the young ladies in the bedroom when they were talking, when you came down from the crane shot, I like to keep the camera still as much as possible. And I think it should only move when I need the audience to move a certain way. I think it's best to keep it still, to let the actors act and let the audience just take their time to get into the scene. And then when I move, it has to be for a purpose. Now, Cheryl,
But then sometimes I want to get artistic.
Right.
And there it is. Sometimes you just want to get artistic and see how it works out. And fortunately, it worked out.
Right.
Okay.
And then meld between the two of us, because sometimes I would leave out and let her just have the complete scene and work with Omar and let them just do their thing and not worry about it as much. I mean, it takes a lot of trust, because I could just be in the next room going crazy.
Right.
But, you know, we had that trust.
And
All right.
PlayStation.
And the PlayStation. So really quickly as we wrap up, you know, what are your plans for the future? Any projects you're working on individually and as well as collaboratively? Because y'all got to work together again. Because that was just too good. So.
Well, we've actually got for Thick, we've got 2 more movies to go. So
Like-
it's a trilogy. I like that. I like that reaction. So it actually is a trilogy. So we've
Okay.
got
Yeah,
2 more movies to work on together.
Sweet.
Right. So our executive producer, once he saw the first one, he was like, "Okay, I want you to make 2 and 3, and we want you to make them simultaneously." And I was like, "Really?"
Right.
So we are right
Writing.
now. We are writing 2 and 3,
Nice.
and we're going to shoot them back to back this year coming up.
Okay. Man.
So, but yeah, so that's it. Just making sure Thick gets seen. We're going to show it again this month
Yes.
on the 21st.
Where at?
West End. We're going back to West End for another screening.
Okay.
And then we got some people that called in from North Carolina, Atlanta. They wanted to bring it there. Throw it in a couple of festivals, and then I think we're going to go straight to DVD. So
Awesome.
we're getting it out there now.
Listen, you heard it here first. Award-winning film. When it happens, just be
Yeah.
like,
And he said
Kev,
it
yo,
first,
you were
right?
right.
Right. Said it first. Somebody said it. So. But yeah,
Right.
definitely. We just want to get it out there. You know, we got other stuff that we want to work on. I have a short film I want to do next year just to get my hands a little dirty with something I want to do in 2015. But we're on board for Thick 2 and 3.
Awesome. Well, guys, again, congratulations. And I mean this from the heart. Congratulations on a really great film. And not only that, I just look forward to seeing, you know, what you all continue to do in the future because you guys are really representing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well,
Thank
thanks
you.
again for coming on the show.
All
It's
right.
great having you
Thank
guys.
you.
Over here. Thank you. Thank you for the water.
Picture Lock.
My man.
This is Jason Fraley, film critic with WTOP Radio, and you're watching Picture Lock.
You're watching a special episode of Picture Lock where we focus on film. Moving from the dynamic duo of Cheryl Brown and Anthony Green, I have in front of me the 3 female leads of Thick, the terrific trio and love triangle of Teresa, Ronnie, and Nina, otherwise known as Tia Day, Pascal Piquion, and Chasita Giles. Ladies, thank you for coming on the show. First of all, congratulations on some awesome performances and a great film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's like y'all are still in tandem. Like, what's going on? Okay, so there's a lot of questions that I have and I want to get into. But first, just give us a quick background on how each of you got into acting. We'll start with you, Tia.
All right, great. Acting is just a part of my life. When I wake up, I'm acting. I started stage acting probably when I was a little girl. Wasn't nothing serious because singing is my first claim to fame. But stage acting in 2003, and then I got into web series acting 2009, which was basically my kickoff project, and that was with Anacostia. So yeah,
Nice.
that's pretty much how I got started.
All right, Pascal.
My first play was my freshman year of high school. I decided to audition for a musical, and I played Queenie in Showboat. And that was my first show, and after that I just kept auditioning for plays, and when I went to college, I didn't think of any other major but theater.
Nice.
I have always wanted to be an actor since I was little. Like, that's just how I used to play with my cousins. I'd make up stories and assign roles and have them acted out. My first play was in elementary school. I played the wicked stepmother in Cinderella.
I was Toto. Kindergarten. Go ahead, sorry.
And well, from there, I just kept going with it, and then I started doing some film. I'm from Boston, so when the remake of The Women with Meg Ryan, when that came out, I got my first kind of union credit doing background work for that film, and I just kept going with it from there, just doing as much theater, film, anything I could kind of get into.
Sweet. All right, so how did you all get involved in Thick?
I could start with that. Actually, Tamika Chavez called me about it and asked and offered me the part. And yeah, that was really interesting because she said that it was a lesbian role, and I was a little worried about the sexual content of the script, but after reading it, it was just so well written that there was no way I could turn it down.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I actually came in and auditioned for the role of Nina. And the reason being is because I had never went out for a lead role. I'm used to just going out for character roles. I play those very well because you can stretch in a character role. But they could not find Teresa. And when Anthony called me and said, "Hey, Tia, we want you to come in and audition for the role of Teresa," I was scared. I'm like, hold it. I've never played a lead role before. And, you know, just with the gift of God, you know, I was able to go in and nail it.
Nice.
You nailed it. You nailed
You
it.
did.
Oh, yeah. Kind of same story as Tia. I never had a lead role before. I've always been supporting or done background. So this was my first major lead role, and I went in for an audition I auditioned for Nina, but I actually didn't know she was a lesbian because when I was reading the script and I saw Ronnie, I assumed it was a guy. And it wasn't until they did a callback and I realized I was reading with a girl, and I was like, wait a minute. But the script was so good, and I've always, like, if I could do anything, I would love to be like an action hero. I'd love to do all my own stunts. I'd love to be in like the X-Men movies. Like, I want to just do like all the badass stuff. So yeah. So I still, whether she was a lesbian or not, I didn't care.
Okay, so we're touching on this. This is like the story is pretty unique in terms of having a lesbian female crime boss and her team in the leads. So I'm gonna take some time just to brag on everybody, right? So, Tia, your character Teresa, oh my God, okay. Where do I start? Like, as I watched it, I'm just like, wow, like she is like, you think that she's got it all together, but underneath, it's almost like this is what I thought when I was watching your performance. I was like, you know, the scene in the Avengers when David Banner, he's like, what's the secret? And he's like, I'm always angry. And then he turns around and he turns into the Incredible Hulk. Y'all saw it. Come on now. Y'all saw
I
it.
did. That's the
That's
last
how I
Avengers,
felt it
right?
was. Yeah, the last
Okay,
one.
all right.
That's how I felt it was with you, because like you were like David Banner, like always smooth and calm, and then all of a sudden, like the kitchen scene, like I was like, yo, what in the world? So
was I.
and
That was on set. Okay.
so and Pascal, like you know, being the you know, former, I guess, crackhead, but now, you know, girl in the middle, like a lot of people, when you view a film, you could see that like that's a throwaway role, right? But no, like you got to own that, because otherwise it just doesn't reign as true. And I thought like you definitely, you know, nailed that role, which is hard to do. You could easily just sleep on it. And the same thing for you. It's just like, you know, your character was just like dealing with this inner conflict, which I want to get into. So like the question is, you all did such a great job in getting into character. How did you get into your individual characters?
I pray. I mean, realistically, I pray over every role that I'm just blessed to get. And even with singing, if I'm doing a singing engagement where it's a competition and I have to be or sing another artist's song, I'm just always praying, God, can you please allow this artist to enter my body, you know, the voice, you know, because that's what it's all about for me.
Right.
You know, but I pray and I continuously read and I just marinate into it because it's so fun to become someone else, and then I can go back to being mommy.
Right. Awesome. Pascal.
It was just a lot of trying to create her backstory, figure out what motivates her, what her needs were. Even though she's well taken care of, a lot of her needs are very basic and very primal. So it was just playing around with that and developing that into kind of figuring out and building a life around her character.
Nice.
Oh
I have like a
See
whole like process. Like as soon as I found out I got the role, I called my acting coach Denise Hart, and I sent her the script. I set up sessions with her to work with her on my script. I asked a lot of questions of Cheryl and Anthony. Anthony recommended I go see this indie film called War Witch because he said that was kind of the prototype for my character. So I went and saw that film. Then off of seeing that film, I had a journal for my character. I kind of created her whole backstory in that journal, and up until the point where she started working for Teresa. So I had a whole journal for that. And I went on a diet. I started lifting weights. I worked with a personal trainer.
Wow.
So I just really got into this whole like, it's kind of like that commercial, you know, where the guy's like, I lift things up and put them down. Like, I tried to get in that mindset of like, this is what I do. I kill people. I do push-ups. I'm not emotional because I'm like a very smiley, like girly person, and I had to kill all of that, and it was really, really hard. So I just went into this like cold, stoic work mode where it was just all push-ups and protein shakes and
Nice.
And yeah, I just really had to get out of myself.
That's what's up. So what was one of the hardest scenes for you all as actors, or I should say actresses, but it's the same thing, you know?
We can play men too.
Yeah.
Actors.
You guys want to? Well, let me think.
Well, for me, it was obviously the kitchen scene.
That wasn't real knife. Right?
Yes, absolutely. And listen, the gun specialist brought those knives in. Those were not just regular kitchen knives. You know, you have I guess it's an arsonist specialist that brings in the guns that you use and things like that. Yeah, they had to bring those knives in.
We had stunt choreographers. We had a weapons person, just someone who did all the props. So our props were like real, but they weren't, like they were real knives, but they were dulled so that they couldn't actually cut you, but it was a knife.
It was still very scary and intimidating, and I was freaking out.
You should have been scared.
I was scared.
Yeah.
I was very scared. And that was one of them, but obviously the scene where she's threatening the life of my son, that was by far the hardest scene that I've ever did.
Right. And that's what I was talking about, because a lot of times when you're saying like, oh, don't hurt my son, whatever, you know, like it can get like melodramatic, but it just felt real, like, you know what I mean? So I definitely appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I really can't think about a hard scene. Maybe the opening monologue. Because by the time we got around to filming that, I mean, I was dead tired.
Oh, wow.
I was very tired.
So you all did that scene last, or
It
was just a late day, a long day?
It was a very long day because it was at an art gallery and they had to do so much setup before that. And I was sitting in the seat like this, just sleep. You know what I'm saying? Until they was like, okay, we ready. But that was probably the hardest for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
For me, it was definitely the tunnel scene, that fight scene. That we filmed until like 3 a.m, something like that. It got really, really late. Then it started pouring, and we were in this tunnel, and the tunnel was dirty. There was like bird droppings everywhere. Dirt. It was a dirty tunnel.
Wow.
And it was late, and it started pouring, raining. The tunnel started flooding because of all, like literally the tunnel started flooding. Like it was getting filled with water. So we're trying to shoot this and they're like, hurry up, we only have like a few more minutes because the tunnel literally is flooding. So we're like rolling around on the ground. There's water rushing down the sides of the tunnel. It was like something out of a movie. It was It was real dramatic and crazy. And by the time I got home, I was just dirty and tired, and like my muscles were sore because it was a lot. It was so much.
I'm glad that wasn't
Yeah. It was so much. That scene, I'll never forget that.
Well, that's cool. I guess one thing I wanted to ask you was just in terms of the scene where you're by yourself and
yeah,
and it's like you want to end it, right? We'll just say that. What was going through your head? Just as I mean, like you said, you had a journal for your role. So how did you get in the character on that one?
So that's one of the scenes that I worked with my acting coach with a lot because it was one of the hardest scenes for me. It was a lot of reflection and just thinking about all the people that the character Nina, like all the people that I killed, my background of coming from violence and it seeming like I only bring about more violence and the people that are closest to me end up getting hurt because of it. And just feeling like I don't know how to do anything else. There's no other way for me to end this except for to kill myself. And then almost kind of just like hating yourself a little bit.
Right.
And then being a little disgusted with yourself too because the phone rings and I still pick up the phone. You know, so it was just kind of like a lot of just internal struggle in that scene.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it shows. And like I said, just the preparation, I can tell you guys really prepared for these roles. And that's why I think it's just a great film. So, okay, we talked about, you know, the hard stuff. What about the fun? Like, what scene did you have the most fun with?
The same scene.
I was about to say, Christina, go
The
ahead.
same scene that was the hardest for me was actually also the most fun. So that tunnel scene where it was flooding and it was like a freaking horror film almost, it was a lot of fun too because I never did stunt choreography before. I got to wear a dress. Throughout the whole film, I'm like full on like lesbian, like
Right.
baggy clothes, like army fatigue, just completely not girly at all. I actually got to wear a dress. I had my little mask on. I had cute makeup. My hair was out because throughout the whole film, you know, I have the Bantu knots.
Right.
I got to take my hair out. So I just felt like more a little bit like myself. But then I got to be, you know, like a little, you know, do a little fighting,
Action
like a
hero.
little action fighting, like what I would love to do, which is like be an action star. So
Nice.
that was a lot of fun for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I didn't recognize who you were in that scene. With, like when you were up there with Vincent L, I was like, oh, who's this? And then I was like, oh, okay.
I guess for me it was the karate school scene with the kids because there was a karate instructor there like showing the kids how to do the moves and it was just hilarious watching them.
Cute.
Well, for me, it was the kitchen scene. I'm sorry.
Really? Really?
Because it allowed me to go somewhere where I'm not able to go on a regular basis. And the fact that I was able to improv at the end, which really, I think, gave the scene more oomph. But it was a lot of fun because I got to throw somebody up against the refrigerator.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, as sinister as that may sound, I mean, sorry, but I did have a lot of fun with
That was
that.
Yeah.
weird because for me that was like the most emotionally disturbing scene. Like I really wanted to rip her head off. Like I just had this just anger just building up in me 'cause she was so in character. I mean, I just hated her and I felt so helpless.
Yeah.
I was your victim.
You should have slowed down. You should have fell
Just
back.
had fun with it.
All right. So what was it like working under the leadership of Cheryl and Anthony?
They're great.
Amazing.
They're really
Awesome.
great.
Yes.
I would definitely have to say of all the sets I've worked on, even like Hollywood sets, they're really good. I mean, they take very good care of you. They didn't lie about anything. Like our love scene, they told us it wasn't going to be anything like sleazy, and they kept to that. You know, it was very tastefully done. I had no issues with it at all when I saw it. You know, they made sure everything went on time. They made sure we were, you know, fed. That, you know, there was one day where we all parked the wrong way and all of us got parking tickets. Anthony took care of it.
Wow.
I think the day after we wrapped, like we all got paid. Like everything was just professional, on time. There was no questions about anything. Like I wouldn't think twice about shooting with them again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like this was definitely like the dream team of filmmaking. Like I will work with them. I don't care if I live like somewhere off in like Africa. Like I will come back here to shoot with them.
Yeah.
They are amazing. We're just in good hands from beginning to finish, and everybody that was involved was a master like in what they did. They just were so professional, and and everything was so tight. Like
Yeah.
it was definitely like the best movie set I've ever been on.
Nice.
I second what these young ladies said. Anthony Green, Cheryl Brown, awesomeness. You rock.
They were really good.
All right. So, and what about working with the fellas on that? Because, you know, just talking with the guys, and, you know, obviously, you know, the film wouldn't have been anything if they didn't come in strong as well.
I would say the Lefty character gave me a lot to work with. Like, it was not hard to not like him. He, like, even between takes, he was flirty. He was, like, pushing my buttons. Like, like, when I finally got to kill him, it was great.
Nice.
The only guy I had a scene with was my son.
Oh, yeah.
in the film. He was great.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Detective
Morrison.
Morrison.
Yeah.
Detective Morrison.
Well, I got to work with several of the just small roles. All of the guys were awesome. I love the scene where Detective Morrison came into the restaurant and he told me, "I want to see you with the hole in the back of your neck."
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so I gotta say this because in my mind I was like, okay, I gotta tell this. So I just love your face in the whole film. Like, you have a beautiful face, but then at the same time, it was like so hard. You know what I mean? So that's what made it so good, because it was like you could pull off the hardness, but at the same time the beauty. And those, like the beginning, the introduction, because obviously that set the tone for the
tone,
film.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, doing the little raspy talk like this while you're talking, you know, not everybody can pull that out, but that was great. And then that
Thank
scene
you.
when you're eating, like, it was just like, yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, what did you watch? Like, was it New Jack City? Who?
I'm telling
Who
you,
are
it's
you
just
trying to be in the
prayer. I'm telling
Nice.
you, I promise you, and I say that and I mean that. It will never change. Just me I have a walk-in closet at home, and I will go into my walk-in closet. I would even have my children help me, you know, read opposite of me. But I go into that closet and I go into a zone, and I tape myself, and then I will play it back to see if it sounds believable. If it does not sound believable, like I'm talking very high pitch right now, this would not work for Teresa at all. Okay, but I'm right. You know, I mean, it just
Killing it.
Yeah, I just got to get into it. I have to get into it.
Word. Well, before we wrap out, you know, go ahead. You guys got to eat. So how can people, directors, if they're watching, how can they get in contact with you? Let's start down.
Well, I am under Red One Entertainment Management. You can catch me on Facebook. That's TIAD as in David AE. You can also catch me on Twitter, and that's just an MS in front of T a day, and then Instagram. But Red One Management, you definitely can catch me there. Red1entertainment@gmail.com.
Awesome.
My name is Pascal Piquion again, and you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not yet on Twitter. And yeah. That's how you find.
Everything for me is just my first name, Chesida, which is, it looks a lot harder than it is to say. It's just Chesida, and that's CHASEEDAW. That's my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then my email is also chesida@icloud.com. So pretty
Sweet.
easy to find.
All right. Well, ladies, again, excellent knockout job. Thanks again for coming on
Thanks
the show.
for
I look
having
forward
me.
to seeing you guys on the big screen in the future.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Nell Minow of MovieMom.com, and you're watching Picture Lock.
James Brown said, "This is a man's world, but it would be nothing without a woman." Well, in Thick, it's a woman's world, but it would be nothing without the men. I have Benson L. and Caleb Jackson with me now, better known as Lefty and Detective Morrison. Fellas, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So, first off, you know, again, great performances. I love the film. So, hats off to you guys. But if you could, just give us a quick background into how you all got into acting.
Well, myself, I've been involved in acting for a while. It actually really started for me in junior high, doing a couple of school plays and things like that. Of course, I didn't go to school for acting or anything like that. I kind of drifted off into the business path of it. Then I got back into it after school, doing a couple of community theater, and then some more infomercials, not infomercials, well, industrials, and then going on into film.
After a career in law enforcement, I retired.
Oh.
And I was sitting around the house, and after about 3 months of finished the traveling and all the good things, like, I have to find something to do with myself. So I'll become an actor. I had no previous experience. So did some research, did some studying, took some classes. And after about 6 months of contemplating it, finally decided, okay, I'm gonna go jump into this. And as with Ronald, started off doing industrials. And it just kicked off. I've been doing this about 3 years now.
Oh, wow, cool. So that's why your role just felt so authentic, right?
I am typecast, yes. I'm going to be the detective or the mayor or the chief of police or things of that nature. And it's fine because it comes really naturally.
Okay, nice. So how did you guys get involved with this project?
Well, audition. I mean, as simple as that. I met Anthony and Tamika through a previous project that they were doing some casting and had an assistant with. So they saw me on that project, encouraged me to come out and try to audition for a role in Thick, and here I am.
Sweet.
I met Tamika on the set of Anacostia, the web series. And I met Anthony at the screening of the show that he was starring in. And I also met you on the set of Anacostia as well. But we really got to know each other at the screening. And at that screening, Anthony approached me and says, I want you to come to the audition Sunday. That was a Friday night, I believe, the screening was.
It was.
So Friday night, I met Anthony in person for the first time. Sunday, I was auditioning for him.
You were there, and then the story was written after that.
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right, cool. So Bensonell, your character as Lefty is trying to shake up the establishment, while Caleb Morrison is trying to keep things as is, right?
Yes.
So what was it like playing these crafty characters, each with their own agenda?
Well, you let Anthony tell it. He said, well, Lefty was written for me. And he said it's no difference between Lefty and who I am. So, and of course, and when you're playing a character or you're playing a role, you have to put yourself in that situation, put yourself in that environment, and sort of think the way they do. So it's not too far off from who Bensonell is and who Lefty is as far as how they go about things. But it was a good fit. It's a good challenge for me, but it was a good fit.
Nice.
Yeah, his character is I would hate to think that there was a lot of you in that character, but
yeah,
we really don't see eye to eye that much in the movie world, even though in personally, I think he's a stand-up guy most of the time. But he doesn't want that to get out much. But with my character, it was interesting because I'm not really a straight-up kind of guy either. And I'm caught up in the web that he's made, and I'm trying to make a web of my own without being a spoiler. And the interactions are really intense.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys cross paths a fairly good bit. So let's just, again, go down the line. Maybe Kayla, we'll start with you this time. How did you prepare for an approach portraying your character?
Detective Morrison, obviously in my career, I was always the stand-up guy and whatnot.
Right.
So I had to think about how would I be the dirty cop. So, did some research, watched a couple of movies, and looked at the characters and some of the storylines involving that. But it was like the writing of this was so well, really didn't require a whole lot of preparation because, the way that it was written, it was like just go with it.
Right.
You could see the author's vision in the script.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I want to piggyback on that too, is because it was written so well. and your interactions with each other characters kind of brought out more of your character. It kind of gave us a good roadmap as to how to approach the character and what the character should do, some of the nuances of the character. But of course, there is some script preparation. There is also some, research into how you approach a situation. Just basically script study and making sure. But the writing of this particular script made it really easy for us to, well, especially me, is to flow into the role, because every interaction that I had gave my character a different type of flow.
Right.
For lack of a better word.
Nice. So, as actors, what was one of the most challenging scenes for your character?
I wouldn't say anything was challenging. I think it was more so because I mean, when you're in the moment, you're there. You know what I'm saying? So it's not Ben Snell playing lefty, it's just lefty. There's no Ben Snell. So I mean, once you're in there, you're in there. So it not necessarily becomes challenging. You just want to be in that moment and make sure that moment carries all the way through, so people really believe it.
Right. KRS-One, he had this. He says a lot of people used to come up when we would freestyle, and I'm almost quoting him verbatim, but he would say we would freestyle, we had battles, and they say, "Yo, this is for the real hip hop. This is for the real hip hop." And he said right there they had already lost. He was like, "Cause I am hip hop." So
Okay.
in the same way, like you say,
Exactly.
I am.
Yeah.
And
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, I again, to piggyback off that, there was really nothing I can think of that was really, really challenging. The kitchen scene was, I think that was my most intense. And I truly, truly enjoyed shooting that, because it was like, this is probably the biggest scene that I've done to date in my career. And with all the stage movements and the dialogues and things going on with the props that we had, it went so smoothly. And again, with the cast and crew that we was working with, oh man, it was just, it went real well.
Right.
But that was a pretty long scene. It was a long day, but it was so enjoyable.
Right. But speaking of enjoyable, what scene did you all enjoy the most? Which one did you just have fun on?
You know what? It's hard to say, because I enjoyed doing all of the scenes, because you're working with some incredible actors and actresses in this movie. It's just hard to really pinpoint, because every time you went on set, the other actor was going to be there right with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to pinpoint. But, it was some memorable moments throughout the whole shoot. But, as far as the favorite scene, I can't really pinpoint any particular one, because every time you got on set, it was showtime.
Yeah, it's fun. That's good.
And when you see the movie, I mean, for all those who haven't seen it, go see it. But when you see the movie, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. The whole movie carries you all the way through.
Right. Definitely. How about you, Caleb?
I'm laughing because I just knew he was going to say something, and he's being so diplomatic today.
You don't know me.
Man, that's cool. I mean, obviously.
Well, I'll put it this way. I would have thought he would have said there's a scene where he, one other person, and myself are in. I'll just leave it at that. I would have thought that would have been his favorite scene.
Anyway.
Okay.
See the movie.
You got to see the movie, yes.
Okay. So what was it like working under the leadership of Cheryl and Anthony?
Oh, it was great. I mean, you can't, as far as directors and writers are concerned, I mean, they let you flow. And I mean, of course, they step in when they think when they want something a particular way, but they let you flow. You know what I mean? They let you do what you have to do to bring life to your character. And if they see something going on a different path, then they'll say that. But professionalism, creativity, just like I said, the biggest thing is that you want from an actor, that you want from a director, is you want to be able to bring life to the character without restrictions. And they let you do that. And hats off to them both, because that you appreciate as an actor. You never want to feel restricted by camera or anybody else. So if they let you flow, can't help it. You love it.
Right.
Yes. and
You just say church in this guy. Because every time he said something, you like, yeah.
My bad. You go with that person.
Church. That's it.
you know, it's starting to sound like a love fest here, but seriously, again, he obviously has a lot more experience at this than I do. To date, I would say this is probably the best set I have been on. And that's not to disparage the other sets I've been on.
Right.
But this Anthony and Cheryl and the crew, everybody's just top notch. And like I say, they gave you enough rein to make you comfortable in your character. Again, they gave you the structure, and again, not being as experienced, I know I swayed outside of my structure periodically. Sometimes, you know, okay, well, let's bring it back in. The other times, they say, you know, that was pretty good. Let's leave it.
Okay.
So it's nothing but kudos.
Nice. And, you know, obviously the ladies in this film did an excellent job. So, what do you think about the ladies' performances, and how was it working with them?
Oh man, you want to go first because
Well,
So you can say church.
I'll say this. I have been a Tia Day fan since the first time I saw her perform. I won't mention the other movies, but she's been in some top-notch productions before. And I said to myself one day, and I told her at the premiere, one day we're going to work together. This was the first opportunity that I had to actually work with her. Phenomenal. Her range is just wow. Wow.
She killed it.
Yes,
definitely. And not only Tia, I mean, a lot of lady actresses on this film, they did a great job. I mean, just some of them doing things that they probably didn't even see themselves doing, and going outside of their comfort zone made this movie. That's what took this movie to the edge. And of course, Tia's performance, I mean, you just have to see it to actually appreciate it. And from an actor standpoint, you want that from another actor on your set. You want them to bring that type of energy. You want them to bring that type of vibe, because if they bring that, you like, man, I gotta step my game up.
Right.
Yes.
That's what you want. You know what I
Right.
mean? You don't want to be the quote unquote best actor around. You want to be on a set with somebody competing for that.
Exactly.
And that's what she brung. And not only her, all the other actresses as well too. You talking about Tracita Giles, you talking about Pascal Picquion. You know, you just all those actresses. Great.
Yeah, he got the opportunity to drop the names before I did, because I didn't want to leave them out either. So yeah, Tracita and Pascal, yes.
Too late, man. Too late.
Look at this. They still in competition, man.
It never stopped.
Right. All right. So obviously we talked about the atmosphere of the set. It just it was obviously really good, because you all, I mean, as a collective, just turned out some great performances. So what are you guys currently working on? Any plans for future films?
I just got cast today in a short called Quran Billiard.
Okay.
It's a short student film. I don't have all the information. Like I said, it just happened today, but that should be pretty good. We're waiting on post-production on Landlord.
Okay. Right.
And
Michael Shea.
Michael Shea, which is a musical, and hopefully they'll let me sing out the credits. They wouldn't let me sing through the musicals, but maybe they'll let me sing out the credits.
Okay.
I'm involved in a couple of plays that's going to DVD, so I'll be directing and acting in one of those plays, what it's called All the Man I Need. That's going to be recorded for DVD. Also doing a play called Am I My Brother's Keeper? That's being recorded, it's going for DVD. One of them is going to be done in December, the other one in January. A couple of web series that I'm involved in, of course, Chocolate City, there's CEO, there's a few more out there that you're involved in, POL, and of course doing a couple of movie projects that's going to be shooting in the spring. One, of course, is Jericho Road with the director Harold Jackson III. So I mean, trying to stay busy as you can, because if you're not working, then you're not eating.
Yeah, you're right. So speaking of, make sure you can eat. Go ahead, plug yourself. How can directors see the show? How can they get in contact with you guys?
Well, I'm rbentonell@gmail.com. Hey, hit me up. I'm available. If I can make it work, I'm ready to work.
See how easy we are. CalebJJackson@gmail.com.
Nice.
And I'm retired, so I'm always available.
Brother said, I'm chilling
I'm
at
chilling.
the house until
That's
you
right.
call.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll be living with him. I can chill too.
Oh, no.
Well, guys, it's been a great time. Pleasure talking with you all. Again, great performances. I really enjoyed the film. Thanks for your time, and thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Much
Thanks for
love.
having
Thank
me.
you
Appreciate
so
it.
much, man. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks for having me.
That's all for this episode. I'd like to thank the cast and crew of Thick for coming on the show. It's truly a great independent film. Check it out if you can. You can find Picture Lock on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget to check out the website, picturelockshow.com, for movie reviews and news, and if you're interested in coming on the show. Until next time, I hope you stay locked on film.